The Wellness Show with Angela and Safiya.
Join us every Wednesday at 12 noon on Heritage Radio 90.6 FM.
I'm Angela Sumas, a nutritionist, a mindset coach, and a teacher.
And I am Safiya Ascolibol, a Pilates instructor and a Taekwondo black belt.
We're both passionate about wellness, and we will be opening your horizons about ways you can become healthier in your body, mind, and soul.
We will be drawing tips from our knowledge and personal experience as professionals and busy home educating moms.
Whether you're a man or a woman, single or a parent, there will be something for you.
Join us every Wednesday at 12 on Heritage Radio 90.6 FM. Welcome to this week's edition of The Wellness Show with Angela and Safiya. Please note that whatever we say is not intended to diagnose, treat or cure. If you are in doubt, do consult a healthcare practitioner before applying any change to your lifestyle. So, well, we found basically that, everybody knows that being active in whatever form, it is, it's really good for your mind and everything. But why is it good for your mind? It's because when you move around, naturally your muscles will need more oxygen. So you'll be breathing a little bit more deeply, and you'll be spreading more of that. The oxygen you absorb will go into your muscles. Your muscle will require more. Therefore, you'll have to breathe more deeply. Yeah. And so it's just that virtual feedback loop where you just start doing something and it makes you feel better. Therefore, you do more of it.
I noticed though when you actually do some exercise. It, like you said, it brings in more oxygen. If you were tired, it kind of takes away your tiredness. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It feels like you feel renewed.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I find when my training in Taekwondo is, if listeners have listened to us last week, you'll know that I'm training in Taekwondo. I'm a second dan black belt, and alhamdulillah, and I've been doing so for the last 10 years. So I'm really not coming from an active and a big sports background. But when I was older, when I was 40, I discovered a love for Taekwondo with my children, and now it's become my passion, and I dedicate a lot of time on it. And what I've noticed is that our training is generally in the evening, and often by the end of the day I might be tired also.
Does it help you with energy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I might kind of feel like a real dip in my energy at about 5 or 6, like I'm really sleepy. And yes, Angela, in like you will put little brackets in there. Yeah. It's like depending on what you eat, Safiya.
Yes.
So we'll also touch on those things in the future. But I do have that dip in 5, and I think it's quite a common dip anyway in a lot of people. And I was like, wow, I have to go to Taekwondo, because if I don't go tonight, I've missed a lesson. It's not something that I decide to do whenever I want. So I force myself, I pull myself out of the sofa.
I think it's quite good when you're not, your activity is outside of you.
Yeah.
It's like somewhere you have to go. But if you were telling yourself, okay, every day I have to do this much, you might give yourself a break. Oh, get up, not to do it today. I don't feel like it. But when you are accountable to someone else.
Yeah.
And they're counting on you.
Yeah. They're counting on you, and also, as I said, if it's a class. Yeah. If you don't go, you've missed it. You can never get that class back.
Yeah. So it's accountability really helps.
So, and when I reach just the movement of getting myself ready, changing into my gear, it's already a psychological process of I'm getting ready for it. But also just moving around will already start.
It's a mindset.
But also just moving around, like physically, it'll get my energy levels a little bit up. Driving, and then we go there. And training, and that's it. And as soon as we start doing the warm-up, that feedback, that virtuous circle starts making me feel having more energy, which in turn gives me more energy to do more, etc.
Yeah, so like you get a burst of energy. Notice.
And it's quite amazing. It's happened to me many, many, many times when I've actually thought, it's just, how am I going to have the energy to even get up from the sofa? And it just happens.
Now you have that experience, so you know that it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Right? Whereas when you're starting out, you might not realize it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you've never experienced it, you can't fall back onto that experience to motivate you in the time when you're actually very tired. Yeah, that's very true. So we have we have touched on a little bit on the sort of superficially on how beneficial it is for your health. What happens as well when you walk is you move your joints. So you've got the legs swinging forwards and backwards, you've got the knees bending, you've got the ankles moving and the foot, and so obviously your arms, so you're moving pretty much every single big joints in your body, bar your neck and your wrists, but the rest, your ankles, your knee, your hip, and also the spine a little bit, because you're swaying sideways as well as you walk, and you move your arms and your shoulders, and your elbows. So you have a lot of benefit just with that movement on your joints. And when you move your joints, it's like oiling an engine. Mm-hmm. You just put drops of oil within your.
If you want, it's good to look at it like that. What I noticed during the last 2 years with coronavirus and being very inactive, is that when I walked again, my feet were killing me. I had to wear band-aids on my shoes. It was really hurting, and I realized that day that I had to go somewhere. It was during the pandemic, and I go, oh my God, I have to get back into exercise. I didn't realize how much damage it had done to my body. My feet were hurting. I had to wear bandages at the back. But the thing is, I noticed that you're consistently doing it, and it's twofold, right? Like, first, you're accountable outside of yourself, so you don't decide. It's there, you have to do it, right? You're accountable. Second of all, it's consistency. So it builds on it, right? But when you don't have those two, that's why I think it's good to get into group activity. Yeah. Otherwise, if you're left in your devices, then your life pulls you this way, that. And as moms, you know how easy it is to put ourselves last, right?
Yeah, of course. But there's also the aspect when if you really have the time to do it, that's great. To be able to say, a friend will meet every Thursday at 1:00 or midday, and we will then walk together, and and therefore that if you cancel, then you let them down as well. So but you might not necessarily have that possibility. You might be so busy that there's no chance for even getting out. So don't be disheartened that if you're out there listening and you really don't have the time to plan for these things, don't be disheartened. Even going up, and we're very blessed actually in Britain, a lot of us live in houses with at least one flight of stairs. Going up and down the stairs, that's a big benefit.
Stairs are very important in my house. Like my husband uses them so much. So
tell me about your husband. He's got an interesting approach.
He does have some issues with his mobility, but he's been when he's okay, he uses the stairs. He goes up and down, like he'll do 60 or something. Like, I don't even want to count how many. I used to get annoyed. Like, what are you doing? But he would do Dicker while he's doing it, so he's already in his own space. And he's lost 20 kilos walking. Wow. Indoor walking.
So just in the house?
Between two rooms, or at first he started on the spot walking. Yeah. And then he went from 2 spots, and then he also added walking up and down the stairs. Wow. So it was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, he's a good role model.
Yeah, he used to do weightlifting when he was younger.
Yes, he did. He already has that background of doing weightlifting, and he was an athlete when he was young. Like, forget the sport, but it's the one that throws.
Yeah. The javelin.
Javelin, yeah. He was doing javelin, so he had that background.
So he already could build on that oldest knowledge that if you move, you feel better, etc. Yeah. So the motivation was for him. He'd already done all that work.
Yeah. Whereas for me, I didn't have that background, and it's taken me longer to get into a good routine.
So what do you do then, Angela?
I just
apart from like walking when you wait for people to pick you up.
I do walking. I have a bike at home, like a stationary bike, which I occasionally use to my shame. I need to build on that. I do some yoga. There's free videos online that you can check on YouTube. I've done videos. My thing is doing videos. I'm from the 80s.
So you just put like a video on, or that's that what you mean, like on your phone?
I bought a really nice set of videos that I really like the teacher, and I just follow the videos. But like I said, I'm from the 80s, and in those days it was always on TV like a show, so you'd watch it and exercise. And so the videos are from that. They're not really videos. My kids would say you don't watch videos anymore. It's CDs or DVDs. Yeah, there you go. I'm
not the old VHS.
My age is showing.
But basically, we get the idea. Like you follow you like to follow a program that takes you from A to Z.
I can't for the life of me remember the steps. Like I'm thinking, what if I'm somewhere one day and I don't have this DVD? But it's good to use.
And
it
in terms of walking, then what do you do then?
I've decided to do a 10,000 steps approach. I mean, it's not in science that 10,000 steps. It did start as a selling point for shoes or something from Japan. That's where it all came from. But I think it's a good point.
I think so.
So what I've done is, because most of the time I couldn't do 10,000 steps and I get disappointed, I made my my watch to count up to 5,000 and then to like woohoo do that.
That's
like,
quite clever.
So I feel like if I reach that, at least I did half of those steps, and then you count after that.
So that's one of the good ways. Is again we go back to using external.
Yourselves.
To use like an external. So either an app. Most smartphones now you can just set them that they count the step, and it's basically the movement of the phone in your bag or in your pocket. It counts. It's not accurate, but it gives you an idea. Are you doing 2,000 steps a day or 10,000 or 5,000? And it's interesting.
You can also like gauge how long it takes you to do a certain amount, and then you can say, do I have time to do it? And every day you can increase it. For
instance, mine tells me if I haven't done my average 250 per hour. I think it must be. I can't remember. I'm not really paying attention. It can't be per hour. No, per quarter of an hour or something like that. And it kind of encourages me if I stay still too long, say working or on the sofa watching something. So and it kind of vibrates and says, you've not moved quite recently.
My phone, I watch does the same thing. It gives you that movement to get up.
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways, external devices we can use to have an idea, because it's true, if we never actually counted, we have no idea how many, is it possible to do 10,000 steps in a day? I find that I do my 10,000 when I go out of the house, do a bit of shopping, maybe I have a training in the evening or something like that. It's often I reach sort of 8,000, 9,000 without doing much effort. But if I go out of the house, if I stay in the house, it hovers around 5,000, 6,000.
I think it's good to at least use it as a gauge point, like to gauge how long, and then you don't need it. You don't need to always have it on, but it's like a nice reminder. If you don't have it, you can have an app on your phone. Most people have smartphones, and they actually help. The apps, you don't have to have a watch.
Exactly, you can use just an app on your phone.
Tech, low tech.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to break the bank or run to a store now and try and find the latest gimmick.
No, just download a free app.
Yeah, so basically it's just, from our discussion you can understand that it doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to start walking like that's it. You've got your weights in your hand and you start power walking for 2 hours. No, it's not that at all. It's just to get up and start walking. So just as a sort of a few ideas here over how many minutes can help you physically. So for instance, 5 minutes, that would help your digestion. So often we say after a meal, have a little walk. People do that after Christmas, don't they? I mean, you and I were both from a Christian background. I don't know how much that you had that, but being Greek is a bit different than the kind of Christianity.
Totally different.
Yeah, Catholic. But basically on Christmas Day, you can see them even here in parks. They all like the whole family is out and just walking, and that's kind of the thing. We've had a big meal. We need to walk after the big meal on the 25th. And so basically that helps your digestion, and it helps also prevents bloating and constipation because of that movement. It kind of massages everything in your tummy. So if you do 20 minutes, that goes on to improving your heart health. So how does this happen? Is as I said earlier, when you walk and start moving your limbs, you need more oxygen. Therefore, your lungs will have to work a bit harder. Therefore, your heart has to pump more blood around to be able to get that process going. So that can help to reduce the risk of heart and cardiovascular diseases. So if you add an extra 10 minutes, you've got 30 minutes of walking. We're talking every week. That's great for weight loss. So if you do regular walking, that helps.
But that's 30 minutes per day.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it helps. Yeah, if you do your 30 minutes in a chunk, but you don't have to do that. So much. You don't have to do it like every day, but you do it regularly, I guess. You start losing weight because it improves your digestion and it helps build muscle mass. Obviously, the more you use your muscles, the more they'll have to strengthen.
Your metabolism raises when you have more muscle mass.
So. Exactly. Yeah. Because you have bigger muscles, your body will have to process more food, the energy, the fuel, and the waste as well has to be processed better. And also, so it might be that you start walking, you're 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, and then you start feeling like your legs are a bit tired the day after. Just take a rest, and then the day after you do again, you 10, 15, 20, you increase, you go slowly and increase. And after that, you basically, it becomes easier and easier for you. You also, if you do your 30 minutes, it reduces your risk of diabetes, which is quite an interesting point because it helps reduce your blood sugar. That's what you were saying about your metabolism working better. And 35 minutes works to improve your blood circulation. So again, as I explained why, but also what you can do to make that even more efficient, you can have what's called interval walking. So it's the idea that you walk fast for maybe for a minute, and then you walk slower for 30 seconds, and you walk faster for a minute. So that's interval walking. So it kind of pushes your heartbeat a little bit faster, makes you a bit,
I just want to remind our listeners that when you first start exercising, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt. Your feet are gonna hurt. You might get swollen ankles. Don't give up. Don't think, oh, this is not for me. You just have to keep doing. Give it 6 weeks, a good 6 weeks, and after that you'll see results a little bit.
Yeah, and basically anything you do beyond that will strengthen your muscles. It helps, build and tone your muscles. So that's really good all around the body. And we'll also be talking a little bit about how it affects you positively, intellectually, and in your mind. So how it makes basically your mind a bit healthier, Angela.
Well, I noticed for me, and I know from reading the studies that going out for a walk does wonders for your well-being. Like, you can leave the house, you were stressed, and then you start walking and you feel way better. You can even come up with new ideas. That's my intention when I go walking, is to work out certain ideas I had in my head. So it really helps you to feel better. And I've read that it's like 30% reduced risk of becoming depressed. So people who have that tendency should really look into it. If you're feeling sad, just put your shoes on, go out for a walk.
Yeah, just a fresh air, isn't it? As well.
Even if you're not feeling very good, you don't have to run. You don't have to go fast. Obviously, in this, it's winter now, so people have to be careful where they're stepping. That people don't pick up their leaves, the piles of leaves, and if there's snow, the ice. But mind that you can just go to the park, walk to your nearest park, or to just to your shops and go for a coffee. So what we noticed is that after all that, for 40 minutes, it reduces your stress. So make that intention when you get out of the house, right? Go for a walk, time yourself, and by the time you get home, Bob's your uncle, like they say in the UK. And then, of course, 50 minutes, we found that it increases your productivity. So you're raring to go. You can do more things. You get energy levels and productivity increases. And if you can do it for 1 hour, it apparently reduces your nerves, your brain activity increases. You're ready to learn more. So this is good for students too, and it's good for your creativity. So that's really
that's quite amazing, because you know, for me, like with my background, I'm thinking about my physical background. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can feel it. I can imagine how I can feel. I know how it impacts my body, etc. But I would never have thought it would go as far as all this.
I think it's good for creatives, artists, anyone, students. It really does help you to because you're breathing in, you're walking, you're relaxing, you're not in the house where stresses happen.
Yeah.
So it really helps to get out.
Yeah. There was actually, I remember reading some time ago about a study that they did a study with elderly people, and it was about dementia. And they asked a group to do mental activities like sitting down, but they were doing like crosswords and puzzles and things like that, right? To get the brain going. And the other group only had to walk outside for 10 minutes. They did it like over several weeks, and when they asked the groups to come back after that period, and they all did the same then mental test. The group that just went out to walk for 10 minutes did much, much better than the one that stayed at home. And they explained it to be like, when you walk outside, your brain has to compute millions of things at the same time about where you walk, the proprioception, where you put your foot, how you move, be careful to not slip, to not trip, look around, the colors, the stimulation, everything is a lot more stimulating than just doing a paper-based
I think that's encouraging that they're doing those studies, and that we can tell our elderly parents or uncles to encourage them to do this.
Yeah, that's very true. Because this is one of the issues that we all want to grow old gracefully and in good health.
I've seen very good examples of older women who've gotten into fitness, and they have really changed their life physically.
Yeah,
so it's worth doing.
Yeah, there was a guy who I'd read about who walked for a year and a half. Every time he wanted to have a meal, he would walk to the supermarket. I don't know how much it was, maybe a mile.
I've seen that.
He was like 600 pounds, and he lost 300 pounds in a year and a half just by walking, getting his grocery, coming home and cooking. He would never have food inside the house to force himself to go out.
He's very inspirational.
Obviously, he changed his diet as well, which you'll be happy to hear. Because you like that, when people actually also look at what they eat, which is important. So we're going to take a quick break now, and afterwards we'll have a lovely lady who's coming from GreaterSport for Greater Manchester, and we'll be talking about more ways of motivating yourself to walk, and what Greater Manchester has in place for us all. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes.
32266.
You're listening to the faith-inspired sounds of Heritage Radio on 90.6 FM.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our wellness show. Angela and Safiya here, and we just listened to Hamza Robertson. I love his songs. That reminds me of when my children were little. We used to put that on all the time. So that was a little bit of a nostalgia moment for me. I'm sure other people as well listening to those songs. Right, so we have Beth Sutcliffe from GreaterSport, from Greater Manchester. So can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about what this is all about, please.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name's Beth Sutcliffe. I work for GreaterSport, which is a charity which is all about trying to support and change lives through physical activity and movement. So we work across Greater Manchester and supporting, leading and trying to influence around individuals and organisations to support increased physical activity. So yeah, lovely to be invited to come today and talk a little bit about walking in particular and the benefits of walking and how that can improve our bodies and minds.
Yes, definitely. So are you a walker yourself?
Yeah, I love walking, and I think particularly just during the last couple of years with COVID and the restrictions that have been in place for us all, it's been an absolute lifesaver for me personally. I live on my own, so just getting out for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a couple of times a day has just been brilliant for my mind, and having a break from if I'm on the laptop and working, or just to get that change of scene and getting a little bit of green space and fresh air. It's been absolute lifesaver for me personally.
Yeah, and that is, I think you said a key word, green space. In Manchester, we're really blessed with that, I have to say, compared to some other cities or areas that I've lived, like London. Sometimes you struggle to find that, but here...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and just listening to what you were saying before, I think, the power of being connected to green space for the benefit on the mind and fresh air. And you're right, I think in Manchester and Greater Manchester, we've got so many little local parks, and even it's getting down the canal or quite urban green space. We're really blessed with how much we've got. So yeah, from your doorstep within minutes you can be in contact with green space, which, like you say, not every area has that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and green is the easiest colour for the eyes to see. So it is soothing. This is why we tend to really encourage people to look at plants and look at trees, even if it's just through your window. But it's interesting because sometimes I stand by my window and I open the window and I smell that fresh air. I see this green and I'm like, oh, I'm just like, I want to go. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, it's just a little bit cold.
I find it though that it doesn't have to be a green space. Like when I came from Toronto, and it was easier to walk where there's a lot of shops. Walking down the street, it's busy. It keeps you not from being bored.
The stimulus.
It's really good. You don't have to. Maybe if you don't have a green space, you could just walk. Even if you're in London or wherever you are, just go to where the shops are and just walk around there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's that change, isn't it, from the four walls of being inside, being somewhere different with different stimulus and different things to think about. I think it touches on that mindfulness idea of just switching off from maybe something that's stressing you out or that you've been thinking about, and you've got something else to think about.
This is so true, Angela, what you said, because sometimes I'm thinking, I should really walk like an hour or something. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so long. And it's because I don't have a name. But if I can be at the Trafford Centre like I did last weekend. When was it?
Trafford?
Sunday.
If you could go to Trafford and walk in the mall, that's very nice.
Yeah. The mall. Who calls that the mall?
I call it the mall.
I like to tease Angela. Like, she comes with these funny expressions from
Canadian from the
Canada.
80s. I don't know, these words just pop up.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, the Trafford Centre,
Yeah, it would be nice to go and walk inside if it's raining or it's snowing, it doesn't really snow here. But it's dangerous here when it snows because they don't know how to deal with snow in the UK. It's safer on the road than on the sidewalk.
The sidewalk?
What would you call it here?
The pavement.
The pavement. Okay, now we're gonna do comparison. English, versus
like
British.
You say tomato, I say tomato. Yeah, but it's true. Like I was at the Trafford Centre and we were shopping, and before I knew it, I'd clocked so many steps, and I'd been walking for an hour, and it felt like, what, 10-15 minutes?
Yeah, bro.
Because there was so much stimulation, so much and I had a goal. I think we'll talk a bit about that in terms of like how would you suggest someone who like me, I said, you know, I can't going out of my house just to walk. So how could you motivate someone who would like to walk more but does struggle to find a motivation?
I think there's a couple of ways. I think two things that come to mind. I think either walking with a purpose or having a challenge. So I think walking with a purpose, and it touches on what you were talking about before, like, you know, if you set yourself a reason to go out for a walk, so whether that's to walk to the local shop, or it might be to walk your children to school, or, you know, you've got a destination that's today I'm going to do that, and that's the reason I'm getting out to walk, rather than it just be for a walk in itself. So I think that's one way of doing it. But I think the other way is setting little goals and little challenges. You know, there's lots of evidence to say that really helps motivate people. So whether that's, you know, for the first day you're going to walk for 10 minutes and then you'll push that to 20 minutes the next day. Set yourself little challenges. I really like using my phone because you can count how many steps you're doing, so I challenge myself to do at least 10,000 steps a day, but we can build up to that. So it might be the first week you'd set yourself the challenge of doing 2,000 steps every day and build that up over time. So I think it's just coming up with little challenges, and there are loads of apps out there now and things you can use to help with that, whether it be through your phone or
you can use it like I use a watch
on your watch. There's
and it tells you and it beeps when you reach your goal, which is really nice.
And there's that Fitbits out there that you can use, and there's lots of resources out there now that can kind of help you set those challenges. We have some kind of activity calendars that we use, so each day we'll have another idea to kind of get creative about different activities, so each day has a different challenge. So we have a website called gmwalking.co.uk, which is good to mention because there's lots of resources on there and toolkits, and one of the things is this activity calendar. So for the month you can plan your month out and have a challenge every day to you know, do something different and mix it up a little bit.
So it's
www.gmwalking.co.uk.
Okay.
That's brilliant. So you said you have tools that people can. So what format does it come? They download it, or you send them the physical?
Either way. So you can download like PDFs and print them off, or have them on your phone, or if you send us an email and all the contact details are on there, we can send some stuff out to you, whichever works for you really. A lot of people now obviously have phones, so have it on the phone themselves, but for some people who prefer the old-fashioned printouts, we can produce those as well. And so whichever way is useful, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible to access the resources. So we have activity calendars, but we also have toolkits and suggestions of apps and websites to go to as well.
That's really impressive. To be honest, sorry, I never heard about your organisation, but it's fantastic that this is taking place, because it's something it's realistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyone can. I mean, when we say anyone can walk, no, not everybody can walk. There are some people, obviously, who had, for whom it is impossible to walk, but it's going out, isn't it, to try and maybe just a little bit more moving. Even if you're in a wheelchair or housebound, you can try and move with your upper body. You can try and move with whatever you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key message. You know, moving matters to everyone. So whatever movement you can do, try and increase that and try and do a little bit more every day. I'm walking. I'm very passionate about walking because it is accessible to most people, and it's the easiest way to get physically active. It's free. You can do it from your doorstep. You can do it indoors. You can build up nice and gradually, and all the things that you've mentioned. You know, it enables you to connect with nature, but also and touching back on this time of COVID, it helps you connect with other people as well. So even if you can't physically see people, you can have a phone call while you're walking, or meet up with someone and socially distance and have a walk. It's the safest, easiest way to move more, and it's the most important thing you can do for your own physical and mental health is to move more every day. So walking is a great way of starting that journey.
Did you start this program during COVID times?
No, so as a charity we've been going a long time, but in terms of what we've really recognised is the value of physical activity during COVID, in terms of staying healthy and mentally well during COVID, but also if you have COVID, how walking more or being more active can help you recover and deal with the illness as well. So what we've done is adapted our resources and information on
That's
our
really
website
good
to help
that you're
people
saying
during
this.
COVID. Yeah,
because we don't really hear much about that aspect of COVID. Like, we don't hear a lot about being in good physical health that will help you fight it off something.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's lots of evidence out there to say that walking or moving more is the best thing you can do to recover from COVID, whether that's to, build back your physical strength, but also the mental stress that COVID's caused us all, which is really been evidenced well, that a lot of us through the last couple of years and still ongoing, are going to have moments in time where we feel down because of the restrictions that COVID have put on us, but being active is one of the best ways to deal with that and be resilient to what's going on around us.
Yeah, we were blessed in a sense in Britain when even at the height of the COVID restrictions and lockdown, we were still allowed to go out. I think it was 1 hour.
Yeah, 1 hour.
It really sounds like it was I don't know, so long ago in a sense. I'm trying to remember, but it was like an hour.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, an hour a day we were.
Whereas in some countries like Spain, for 3 months, they could not leave their flats.
Yeah, I've got a twin brother who lives in Madrid, and we were having comparing situations, and one of the things that I felt so blessed that we had in the UK was that kind of permission to go out and be active. And what we found, that having that permission from the government almost enabled people to really kind of get back in touch with what physical activity is and what walking is, because they realised that the value of it and the opportunity that hour a day gave them to do something during the day and feel better and get out there and do something. So for some that was a real positive, because it kind of reconnected them with the joys of physical activity, really.
Yeah, this reminds me of a hadith, a saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him, where he said, take advantage of 5 before you lose them, which is your health, your youth, etc. And this is in time as well. So when we were given that hour, we cherished it, didn't we? It's like, wow, it's special. But now that we have all the time in the world in the day, like, oh, what's an hour? No, but at that time, that hour was very precious, very special, and we made sure we used it well by going and doing something that otherwise we may not have done, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something I really hold on to, is try and stay present in the moment and enjoy it for the moment, and remember those things that make a difference to your own health. And when the world kind of gets mad again and busy and other things are prioritised, aren't they? But actually taking a step back and thinking, what is it that makes me happy? Having an hour of physical activity in my day and being able to switch off is the thing that gives me most joy. So you must try and give time to that, because it affects your immediate mental and physical health, but also your long-term health, which is obviously so important.
Some people say as well, having a dog helps, because
it forces you to go walking. So
it forces you.
You have to.
Or having young children, you need to take them out a bit, and go to the park, put them on a swing and stuff. So you walk to that place. What I do sometimes when I manage to motivate myself, because I'm a bit too addicted to my car, I go to the local pub and I put a podcast on that I might not take the time to listen to, and I just walk leisurely, and sometimes a bit faster, but leisurely. I
think it goes back to that purpose thing, doesn't it? I think we all like purpose in our life. So if it's to listen to a podcast, or if it's to walk the dog, or you're doing it for your children rather than yourself, it gives you that kind of real purpose and motivation to do the physical activity. And I think moving matters as particularly for children in terms of their mental well-being. Physically active children are happier, healthier, more productive, more confident. So if you've got small children or children in your life that you can support to be active, that's such an important thing to do. Be a role model for them and support them to be more active.
I have my older children do still sometimes go and just put like some earphones on, and they just walk outside. And one of them, he would be at his computer, but if you offered to go out and do something active, he would drop it completely. So sometimes it's just a suggestion is enough for them to. I think children naturally would, especially younger children, would always choose physical activity because they know it's natural to them. They need to do that to build up their growing muscles.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's surprising because you might assume that walking would be boring for young people, but actually not. We found through a lot of conversations we had that again, particularly during COVID, that young people have really valued walking because it's been a way for them to meet with friends, connect with their social peers, and again, you know, they're really valuing that connection with green space and ability to kind of think differently and notice different things. So walking is valued by everyone at every age.
I think it's just such a natural thing for us as human being. We are on 2 feet and 2 legs and standing
it's
upright.
the rhythm of it, isn't it? It's therapeutic.
So there's what other ways? I mean, if you were someone who could not really go out. I mean, Angela you were talking about your husband who walks indoors.
Yeah, he can't walk out. He has some mobility issues, so he's been trying to do it at home. He'll walk between two places, in place, up and down the stairs. So even though he's doing it very slowly, he's still doing that effort. And that's to me, he's a role model because I don't have that issue, and he does way more than me. So
absolutely, inspirational. And I think you're right. I think it is that thing of just doing what you can and setting yourself little challenges and build up slowly. And again, it goes back. Every movement matters. So I think 10 minutes indoors, outdoors is going to have a positive impact on your mental and physical health. So I think you're absolutely right. I think it is finding those little challenges that help you keep motivated and give you that kind of structure. So you're doing it every day.
And having stairs, we said having stairs.
Everybody,
in Britain,
I think, in the UK has stairs because most people live in a house. So
there's some bungalows, but
take advantage of it. Then you can do walking in place, or like walking between 2 rooms if you can.
I think it's what you said about bungalows. A lot of often elderly people tend to want to then move into bungalows because it's easier. But I think they found that if you stay in a house, if you still can go up the stairs, force yourself to stay somewhere with the stairs because your mobility will be better. Longer term, you will continue to be able to move your legs upwards, because if you start being in a bungalow, you never ever lift your legs anymore.
That's
you
true.
You just shuffle forward rather than upwards.
It's a good point. And I think like just thinking about the muscular strength it demands to go up and down stairs is different, isn't it? So it's important to get that variety and strengthen your leg muscles as much as you can.
Variety is good. I'm into discovering something called, which is natural movement. It's a big movement worldwide, and what they do is they just make people do things that we should be able to do naturally: hang on monkey bars, climb over a log, and they do all this in a natural setting. And once I went with my son, who's 13, I think it was actually during lockdown, and we went to it was after, because the play area was open, and there's like some wooden structure, and I thought, hold on a minute, okay, I'm 50, but who cares? I'm gonna go there. I want to be dangling and doing all sorts of crazy things, but I'm going to climb on the net, those nets, and then going over to the other side and hanging. And not only that, I was just like, I can do this, because you have to lift your leg quite high. You've got to have some good-ish mobility with your hip. But even if you don't, you try and work with what you have. But I remember the feeling afterwards was quite surprising. I felt like a kid again. That joy inside. And it's not just because I was doing what a kid was doing. It's as if I think I was tapping into something that was deep down perfectly natural, and my body was like happy again. I'm doing this, that's great.
I think it's a really good point. And going back to the point of if you're not able to do things outside, we've got some booklets that help people think about the exercises they can do in the home, and that's aimed at kind of preventing falls in particular. So we know that by doing the everyday movement like you've described and keeping the muscles strong, that we can prevent falls in the future. And falling is one of the the biggest issues as we get older in terms of health. So if we can keep doing those kind of mobility exercises in the home as well, that's a really good thing to keep strength up. And walking helps with that as well. But I think also doing those mobility exercises is really important, and strength exercises.
Because as a Pilates instructor, I see that with elderly people, as you age, you lose muscle mass, okay, you lose strength. So bending your knee and lifting your leg forward gets harder and more tiring. So what elderly people tend to do is they don't really bend their knees and they start shuffling forward. So if you shuffle forward, you lose your mobility in your ankle. You don't lift your toes, you don't lift your foot upwards. So that's when you're going to trip. As soon as there's a little gap somewhere, you're going to trip. Yeah. So it's to get yourself to force yourself. So again, this is what we get back to the idea of using the stairs, like instead of using the lift.
But it's not inevitable. I think anyone listening, they should take this away. It's not inevitable to lose that. You have to keep it up. It doesn't matter how old you are. You have to keep trying. And it's doable. Yes, it will be painful if you weren't mobile for a long time, but you can get it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many examples now. You can go online and see elderly people getting back their health. Like, some people might think that's an extreme example, but there's just a really good example. Like, Safiya is the athlete of the two of us, and she's like Taekwondo. Now everybody's gonna want to be Taekwondo, but everybody can have a level of fitness, even if you're 72, 73. I promise, it's from experience. I know this.
And that's what's amazing about us as human beings, isn't it? We're so adaptable. So if we do things differently and change our habits and do it nice and gently over time, we will see changes and difference. And that's what's great about being human. We've got muscles all around our bodies that adapt as soon as we start using them. Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, for instance, if what other things could we give our listeners as advice to motivate them? Like, should they make an appointment with someone on a regular basis? Would that help?
Yeah, I think for me the key message is finding what works for you and finding what's fun for you and that you enjoy. Don't see it as something that's a chore. Like, find the thing that really gives you joy, whether that's walking, whether that's doing exercise in the home. But I think you're right. I think a lot of people enjoy doing it with someone else, or whether that's kind of finding a buddy or a friend who is up for doing it with you, or you might want to find someone who's a professional, and that gives you the confidence and security that you might want to do the right exercises. So I think it's having a think about what really kind of floats your boat. What do you need and what do you want, and have a chat with someone and share that with someone, and think about all the things that are available to you, and set a goal and start that first step would be my advice. Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you live in a bungalow, it occurred to me that you can actually get a stepper and use it as a step up and down.
Oh yeah, one of those exercises.
You could hold on to a chair. There's things you can do to increase your mobility, and then you can do it by yourself. Like, you need to hold on to something. Use the stepper to hold, like, I don't know, a cane, or there's the trampoline, the mini trampoline. Now that's not for people who don't have good mobility, but they have those trampolines that have a handle, so you can hold on to something until you increase your muscle mass, and then you can do it on your own.
There's some great videos that an organisation called Empower You have done, which is all about just doing exercises that you don't need any special equipment for, so you can do them at home. And if you've got mobility or a disability, you can still do the exercises. So there's a range of different options. You can do them seated, standing, and you can do them with household items, so it might be a tin of beans or whatever it is. And there's some really great short videos that just take you through a few little routines. So that's another way people can access, and people love the visual stuff as well. So you've got someone, Bennett is, who's talking you through the exercises and sharing the exercises and help you get the right technique. So that's another resource that is really good to use.
Yeah, there's another thing as well that I'm personally trying to do, again, to give me a goal. When I live in Eccles, so it's got the nice sort of community, sort of all the shops are nearby, and I don't live too far from the shops, about 7-8 minutes walk. My problem is that because obviously I've got a big family and I need to do big shopping and stuff, but we do often have to do top-up shopping. And I'm trying, I'm not saying I am managing very often, but I'm trying.
You're saying it on radio now.
To go, yes, that's it, it's public. That's my goal for the week would be to go like once a week, to go to the shop, walk those 7-8 minutes, and it's not going to be a big shopping because I won't want to carry the whole load because that's going to put me into imbalance and stuff, but maybe have a trolley, but just to go get my little bits of shopping and walk back. And I did it that like last week, I think, at some point, and I thought that was, I don't know, I felt empowered. I thought, even if my car breaks down, you know, you can do it. I can still get my shopping.
I mean, I use a knapsack to put my groceries in.
So what's a knapsack?
Knapsack is, what do you guys call it?
Backsack, little backsack,
I'm not going to stop using this word, you guys, come on.
Angela never gets tired of me, she's really sweet.
So we can use a knapsack, obviously, depending on your health, but like if you can just buy or get like a little cart.
A little,
Is that what you guys call it?
On wheels, whatever, a little trolley.
A little trolley.
And another tip I would say is like is write down how you felt when you did that. So like you know, you're saying that you did that last week. Notice how you feel, because I think some people don't necessarily appreciate how good it made them feel. So if you make a conscious effort to write down how you felt, you can have a look back, you know, a week, 2 weeks on, and think, oh, actually, I remember that, how that made me feel. I'm going to do it again. And that's another good way of motivating yourself to do, you know, make that a habit and do it again.
That's so good, because I had, until our conversation just now, I'd forgotten that I did it. And it was so good at forgetting, especially when it comes to, because also, you know, so that we don't feel so guilty about our apparent laziness. Our body is not designed to be active all of the time, okay? As we recently, actually, as they did some research, more research, and it came out with the understanding that when we were cavemen, there was no need to be active all the time. They had to maintain the energy for running after a prey or running away from a predator. So I'm not talking about animals, like I'm talking just like when there was like living in huts and things like that, right? So there was naturally, genetically, we're not built to be constantly active. So when we feel like that laziness and we want to lie down and relax and we think, okay, that means you just don't have anything to do, and also enjoy a bit that rest, because we do lead very busy lives and we don't give our body enough rest sometimes, proper quality rest. But don't make it so that rest is your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing, basically.
And I think the other things to mention is, you know, the value of being active, what that has on your rest time. So, you know, if you can build some activity into your day, you're going to sleep better at night. So the rest that you have is actually going to be more better quality and more useful. So and you know, we're not saying be active for 23 hours a day. Even if it is 20 minutes, 30 minutes, build it up. That's going to have a massive impact on your mental and physical well-being.
That's really brilliant. We've covered a huge amount today. It's really fantastic, and we will get back on that subject probably in spring, when everybody will be like coming March. Out of winter and thinking, hibernation. Wow. And I think it naturally be like seeing the new leaves and the flowers. I really want to go and see this beautiful nature.
It encourages you to
So we'll definitely get back to it. We'll have lots more to talk about, but I'd like you, Beth, please repeat your website so we all know.
So it's gmwalking.co.uk.
So GM as in Greater Manchester, walking.co.uk.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
It's lovely having you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And Angela, we always like to finish on a little tip. So what could it be this week? What do you think?
Well, since it's walking, just get up and put your shoes on and do anything. Just turn on a show that you're watching and walk in place, if that's all you can do.
Fantastic. Nice little first step to do. And I'll add that if you manage to, even if you don't manage to go out, as you walk, just take that deep breath. Just be conscious of your breathing.
Lift your arms, deep breathing, and walk in place and watch your show. Like, what's the popular show here in the daytime?
Whatever people want.
Listen to Street or something.
Or listen to Heritage Radio.
Or listen to Heritage Radio and walk in place.
Exactly.
That'll do
there
it.
You go. Well, we inshallah you'll all have a good healthy week, and inshallah we'll see you next week, where we'll be talking probably a little bit more about nutrition this time. that'll be Angela's show.
Yeah.
And me sitting back and relaxing.
Okay.
Inshallah, have a great week, and we're looking forward to having you back.
See you next week.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We hope that you enjoyed this week's discussion. Remember, none of what we said is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure.